your adult contemporary radio station in Zambia. Connect you to the newsmakers and events that make news in the global village.
Good afternoon. This is the 5FM Radio Main News. The headlines. Government to deploy law enforcers to remove illegal miners, Vice President Nalumanga says. Northwestern Province Administration applauds WWF in Stambik for efforts to restore Zambia's river source. And about 200 West African soldiers in Benin for cleanup after failed coup. This bulletin is live on our Facebook page, 5FM Radio Zambia, and live on our YouTube channel, 5FM Radio Zambia. With the details, my name is Lance Sannie. Vice President Mtale Nalumanga says government will deploy law enforcement officers to remove illegal miners operating in Mufumbwe constituency and other affected areas. Responding to a question from Mufumbwe MP Elliot Kamondo in Parliament, Mrs. Nalumango described illegal miners as enemies of the law, warning that government will not tolerate continued illegal exploitation of mineral resources. She said government has provided opportunities for small-scale miners to obtain licenses, yet many have failed to take advantage.
And if you are acting as enemy of the law, and what happens there for government, madam, is to enforce the existing laws. And this is why this government has said, having done all that, what is left is to also forcibly enforce, to enforce is to force them out of there. Therefore, this government is ready to remove them forcibly.
And the Vice President has discouraged violence ahead of the Chawama constituency by-election, which is slated for next month.
My advice to Chawama people is they should not go there and start fighting. I'll say this, madam. You, the youths that fight, here we are, here as leaders of this house. You hear us debate. You should come here at break time and you will find that these honorable members from your right and from your left are having tea together.
The Electoral Commission of Zambia (ECZ) has announced the start of the mandatory accreditation exercise for all stakeholders participating in the Chawama parliamentary by-election nomination process. The accreditation period runs from 13th to 15th December 2025 between 08 hours and 17 hours at Nakatindi Hall Civic Center in Lusaka. In a statement, District Electoral Officer Engineer Lifter Indaba accreditation is required for political party officials, aspiring candidates, agents, media personnel, election observers, and other essential service providers who need access to the nomination center. Engineer Ndaba says those seeking accreditation must present valid identification, while journalists are required to show press credentials and an introductory letter from their media houses. Observers must provide secondment letters from their organizations. The ECZ has emphasized that accreditation is free and that no one will be allowed into the nomination center without a valid ECZ accreditation card. All accredited persons must comply with the Electoral Code of Conduct. Nominations for the Chawama by-election will take place on Tuesday, 16th December 2025 at Chawama Primary School. The Ministry of Tourism, in partnership with the Zambia National Commission for UNESCO, has successfully completed a 4-year project to safeguard Kuyabila, the traditional poetry and drum-based oral heritage of the Tonga people of Southern Province. Supported by 83,790 United States dollars in UNESCO funding, the project began in 2021 and focused on raising awareness for intangible cultural heritage through community meetings, media outreach, and collaboration with traditional leaders. 42 stakeholders were trained in community-based inventorying to strengthening local ownership of preservation efforts. Speaking at the 20th session of the Intergovernmental Committee for Safeguarding Intangible Cultural Heritage in New Delhi, Chief Culture and Folklore Officer Thomas Mambo Murita said the project successfully documented 40 Kuyavila poems, produced a book and a video documentary, and compiled an inventory of themes such as marriage, initiation, funerals, health, and farming. He added that Kuyavila has now been integrated into cultural and educational activities, bringing renewed pride among communities in Monze and Namwala and growing interest from educators and the media. This is contained in a statement issued by Naomi Mwemba, First Secretary, Press Embassy of Zambia in Paris. The government has applauded WWF Zambia, Stanbic Bank, and the National Heritage Conservation Commission for their joint efforts to restore the source of the Zambezi River. Speaking at the secure Zambezi tree planting ceremony at Kilondu Primary School, Chief Human Resource Management Officer Brian Munamunungu delivered a speech on behalf of Northwestern Province Permanent Secretary Colonel Grandson Wishikoti Katambi. He noted that the partnership has planted over 20,000 indigenous trees since 2022, with a target of 30,000 to combat deforestation and revive the ecological health of the Zambezi, Africa's fourth largest river. He stressed that the river supports about 40 million people in the region and holds huge hydropower potential critical for Zambia's economy, especially amid drought-induced power shortages. Mr. Munamunungu urged partners to work closely with local communities, describing them as key custodians of the land. He also highlighted the Tickets for Trees campaign, which has added more than 15,000 trees in Ikelengi. WWF Zambia says the initiative is not just about planting trees, but about securing one of the region's most important ecosystems. Speaking during the same event, Upper Zambezi landscape manager Lemi Namayanga delivered a speech on behalf of WWF Zambia country director Naluchanga Ziba. He emphasized that the Zambezi River supports biodiversity, agriculture, fishing, hydropower generation, and millions of livelihoods across Zambia and neighboring countries. And Stanbic Bank has reaffirmed its commitment to restoring the Zambezi source through the Let's Secure the Zambezi project. Bank heads of reputation, brand communication, and CSR, Sarah Banda Ortiz, said Stanbic has doubled its funding to 1 million kwacha under a new MOU with the WWF Zambia to boost tree planting, environmental awareness, and sustainable livelihoods. And in other news trending this afternoon, Indiana Refineries Board Chairperson Watson Lumba says expanding the national petroleum pipeline is key to improving the country's fuel supply chain. Energy Minister Makozo Chikote has called for sustained collaboration between government and power developers, urging companies to remain fully involved throughout project implementation rather than disengaging after securing power purchase agreements. Stand by for business news.
5FM Radio Business News. We mean business. Keep you current in commerce, trade, and industry, local and global. It's our business to keep you informed about business.
Economist Kevin Sanga says the annual December industrial shutdown continues to place temporary pressure on the supply market as many factories either slow down or suspend production during the festive season. Mr. Sanga explains that the reduction in industrial activity results in lower demand for critical inputs such as packaging materials, chemicals, construction supplies, and spare parts. At the same time, he says consumer demand for essentials, including mealie meal, sugar, cooking oil and beverages rises sharply as households prepare for the holidays. He notes that this mismatch between low industrial output and heightened consumer demand often creates short-term tightness in the market, leading to unstable prices. Imported products are especially affected, with fluctuations seen in fuel, wheat, edible oils, fertilizer, pharmaceuticals, and manufacturing spare parts.
Packing materials, chemicals, construction suppliers, and spare parts. While consumer demand for staple like mini meal, sugar, cooking oil, and beverages rise during the festival season, which basically also is considered as an entertainment month. And what we see on the production side that the manufacturing often has a limited operation, creating that short-term supply tightness. Most of the markets stabilize within 1 to 3 weeks after operation, after June.
Ends the business news and in news from across our borders. Some 200 West African soldiers, mainly from Nigeria and Ivory Coast, are in Benin to support the government following Sunday's failed coup, Benin's foreign minister says. The attempt was foiled after Nigeria deployed fighter jets to drive the mutineers out of a military base and state TV headquarters where they had declared a takeover. This is the first time that officials have said how many foreign soldiers were deployed to the country, although it is not clear if some have been withdrawn since Sunday. Benin's Foreign Affairs Minister Olusegun Abdaji Bakari on Thursday said some of the regional troops sent to help had remained in the country as part of the sweeping cleanup operation. And in sports news, Youth Zambia has launched its medal hunt at the ongoing African Youth Games in Angola on an encouraging note, with swimmer Joshua Malinga powering to victory in Heat 3 of the men's 100-meter freestyle. Mulenga clocked an impressive 54.73 seconds, a time that secured him a place in the final. The final is scheduled to take place later this evening. Speaking after his heat win, a visibly excited Mulenga shared that he had surpassed his previous pace to 55.69 seconds, an achievement he described as particularly motivating given that he had not trained in the pool for several months. He told the NOCZ media team that Zambia can expect a medal as he heads into the final with confidence. Meanwhile, his coach, Adrian Sekaunga, expressed satisfaction with the swimmer's strong start, noting that the performance sets a positive tone for Team Zambia's campaign at the Games. Up next, the weather.
Class Econ Roofing Africa.
Class Econ Roofing, plot 17100 off Katanga Road, 150 meters from Mumbwa Road, Chinika Industrial Area, Lusaka. Class Econ Roofing. Class plus economy.
Class Econ. Class Econ Roofing Africa. Class Econ.
Northwestern, Western, Southern, Lusaka, Central, Copperbelt, Luapula, Muchinga, Northern and Eastern provinces mainly cloudy, slightly windy and warm to hot with isolated showers and thunderstorms. Maximum temperatures is ranging from 27 degrees to 34 degrees Celsius. The evening will be mainly cloudy with isolated rain and thunder. Ends our weather report, and that item brings us to the end of the news part. Before we go, a recap of the stories that made headlines.